Raising children is humanly impossible. The only way it can succeed is if there is the third partner in the birth of the child, which is God. With a little help from above, you can raise healthy children.
But what happens if you don't approve of them?
You'll pay for it. It's not just they that will suffer, you'll suffer also. The Midrash simply says that when Avraham was ready to sacrifice his son, the angel came and said, don't do it. Avraham said, who are you? God told me to do this. Who are you to tell me not to? And the angel said, you don't recognize me? I'm the one who gave you the blessing. And Sarah told me it has to be a permanent, long life. And I promised her, so I can't let you do this. There's always more to the story. There is no simple story in the Torah. Because if it was that simple, God wouldn't have to tell you. You could figure it out yourself. Okay, that's the story. Now let's get to the troubles. Raising children is absolutely impossible. They have a will of their own, a mind of their own, hopefully, a destiny of their own. There's nothing you can do about that. Yes, it's your fault that they have all of these negative traits because they got it from you. There's nothing you can do about that either. The worst thing you can say to your child is, don't be like me. It's not a nice thing to say. No, I don't want you to end up like me. That's a terrible thing to say. So now they got to go looking for an artificial role model. That's dangerous. I want you to have everything I never had. That's nice, but if you never had it, you can't give it to me. I think in the end, with a little bit of maturity, every child wants to know that he's like his mother or father. It's comforting. Sanity consists of consistency. If every child was radically different from the parents, we'd be totally insane. There'd be no continuity. There'd be no flow. There'd be no connection. You know Herman Wouk? Heard of Herman Wouk? Famous writer, very successful. His books were made into mini-series on TV. Very, very successful guy. In one of the books he wrote when he was 80, in the epilogue, he says, the reader might get the impression that my Zaidi was the center of my life. Because in his book, This Is My God, he talks all about his Zaidi, who came from Russia, introduced him to Judaism, taught him Talmud. Zaidi was bigger than life. Zaidi was everything. So in this book, when he was 80, he says, you might get the impression that Zaidi was the center of my life. Not so. It was Papa. It was always Papa. All I wanted was to be like Papa. Now, he was much more successful than his Papa. And he adored his grandfather. It wasn't until he was 80 that he admitted, I just want to be like Papa. It never stops. It never goes away. Children need their parents' approval more than anything else. More than love, more than attention, more than hugs. Children need their parents' approval. A child grows up without parents' approval, he grows up with a hole in his heart. And it never gets filled. And they spend their entire life trying to get their parents' approval, even after the parents have passed away. We shouldn't make it hard for our children to get our approval. I understood this I read about it, I heard about it, I learned about it, and I decided I'm going to give my children every possible advantage. So I made it very easy for them to be better than me. Why make it hard? You got to give your children approval, even if you have to fake it. But fake it well, because children are very smart. All right, so the first thing is raising children is humanly impossible. The only way it can succeed is if there is the third partner in the birth of the child, which is God. With a little help from above, you can raise healthy children.
But what happens if you don't approve of them?
You'll pay for it. It's not just they that will suffer, you'll suffer also. You got to approve of your children.
No matter what? Is that unconditional?
Yeah. That does not mean that you can never criticize your children. Children need discipline. Desperately. Children need to be disciplined. If they're never told that they did something wrong, they get a very false impression about themselves, about life, about reality. And that false impression can lead them to a lot of trouble. But there are two ways to discipline. You can discipline like a policeman, or you can discipline like a sergeant in the army. Very different. A policeman's job is to catch you in the act of the crime and punish you. The sergeant in the army, if you're committing a crime, not his business, not his job, doesn't want to hear about it. When you do what you're supposed to do, he disciplines your good behavior. Right? Not good enough. The sergeant says, polish your boots. If you don't polish your boots, he calls the police. He's not going to put up with that. But if you do polish your boots, he tears you down and says, that's called polished. Do it 10 times more and get it right. He tells you to stand at attention. If you don't want to, he calls the police. But you do stand at attention. And he says, that's called standing at attention. Stand up straight, etc., etc. Nobody likes policemen. But everyone who was trained by a sergeant, sooner or later, looks back at it and says, that was good. When you discipline children, it doesn't have to be for misbehavior. You don't have to catch every crime they're committing. If they're doing something inappropriate, you don't have to notice. But when they do something proper, that's an opportunity for discipline. No, that's not how you do it. Here, do it this way, do it right. They may not like it at the moment, but they will adore you for it eventually.